I worked at dead-end jobs for about 2 years, and then I thought, okay, really have to do something. And that's when I joined the Army.
I grew up in a religious home, and a lot of things were told it was sinful. We smoked weed and took drugs and listened to music and hung out with friends.
As you're older and all that shit, you know, I regret the shit I put my mom through.
Wasn't exactly a popular guy, so I just went away and made art.
My life as a young boy was, I guess it would be termed as lonely.
My mother and I, towards the end of her life, had a great relationship. During teenage years, it wasn't so great, but then most of that was stress because my mother was raising 4 kids by herself.
If you try, you can't remember that what you see is just what you know. So I hide my feelings, yeah, for you to find.
Never mind.
You ever seen a white boy with a cock below his knees? Huh? I got a tattoo that totally pays for it. Well, it has totally paid for itself. You know, you're a troop. You're half in the bag. I bet you $20 I got a cock below my knees. And it was just fun.
I got my first tattoo on my 18th birthday. One of them's a little like backward Z. And they called it the warrior's ruin or the death ruin or something like that.
The first tattoo I got was a memorial tattoo to my late husband. Not sure that he would have approved, but he wasn't here, so I went ahead and did it.
And I said, tonight's the night. Steve said, okay. And the tattoos were $10 a piece, the ones we wanted. Steve, I think, like I said, he rigged it. He said, you know what? It'd be nicer to get a really big one. So why don't we get one for $20? And I said, okay. He said, I'll flip. So he flips the coin, and I won. So I got the $20, and I picked the snake, because I like snakes. To this day, he still never got a tattoo.
I walked in and met Michael, who turned out to be my 3rd husband, and he sat down and gave me my first tattoo, which is this little group of mushrooms here, because at the time my CB handle was Magic Mushroom, so that's why we put the mushrooms on.
I told her I finally got a wedding ring. And I went like this, and it was perfect.
My good buddy Arden passed away a number of years ago, very suddenly. I had this naked woman put on, sitting on top of a tombstone. And Arden would love that.
The most meaningful? Probably this one. That says son on it. My son Drew has the matching one that says mum on his arm. And next to that would be the cupcakes and candy on my leg. They're probably the same because that one's a tattoo for my daughter. I've always called her Sweet.
I wanted to get one removed. I had a little legal difficulty. Talking shit about 18 months for pot, like, fuck me. And I have a naked chick on my back. And even though I have a history of missing the point, I foresaw that as a problem because even though you start losing your sex appeal at 40, it's not a chance I want to take going to jail with a chick on my back, eh? And he lasered it a couple of times, and now it's gone.
So it was about 4 o'clock or 4:30 on a weeknight. I got this phone call, and someone I'd never talked to on the phone said, "Do you know this person?" And I said, "Yes, very well." And he said, "Well, she's dead." And that was the point. I just sort of lost it and fell apart and, didn't know what to do with the rest of my life. So I spent every week, at least, one afternoon a week, going to the Native Center and actually being taught a lot and healing up at the same time. The elder gave me a lot of one-on-one and basically took the wreckage that I was and put it all back together. And at the end of getting put back together, I think he actually suggested I get the name Gentle Brown Bear. Well, here I am, and there that is.
There are events in my life that basically drove me to, I guess, commemorate those occasions. The loss of a dear friend, and also sending an abuser of my brothers and I to jail. We decided that it was time that a pedophile should have to answer for what he did to us. But when I left there, I left my brothers, and it took me until about 8 years ago to kind of forgive myself for feeling like I had left my brothers to a predator. And so these folks took me in and gave me a place to live, but had it not been for them, I wouldn't be here today.
Yeah, and I have Michael's name on my hip. You know, we got married in '99, and he died in 2001. We were married about 2.5 years. The surgeon came out, and he said, good news, bad news. And I said, okay, let's go for the good news. And he says, we didn't have to bag him. I said, let's go for the bad news. And he said, 6 to 12 months to live. And he made it to August 9th, 2001, when he passed. And I liked Michael. He was very quiet, very soft-spoken, even though he looked like a badass. He scared a lot of little children, but...
As happy as I was, inside of me, there was things that I wanted to do, things I wanted to say, and rather than say it, I just suppressed it. And then I got sick and went to the doctor and had bone marrow done and was diagnosed with leukemia. And the doctor said, you got a 90% chance of surviving. And I thought, that's really good odds, right? 10%, I'm not going to worry about that 10. When I realized I've come out of my leukemia, I finished my treatment, I thought, oh my God, you know, I've been given a second chance in life. I always felt like I was in a cocoon, you know, like listen to everybody else's rules and follow the regulations, but I was never really Bernice.
Something Bill said to me when he was very ill, very close to the end of his life, was that he did too much of what was expected and not enough of what he wanted. And I've tried to live the past few years of my life bearing that in mind, trying not to do what's expected, but what I really want to do.
A lot of women, too, if they had to listen to their husbands. I didn't like that part, you know, like if they said you can't do this or you can't do that, they didn't do it.
Some friends of mine decided that I should meet a newly single friend, and we had a very nice initial meeting, and everything's going great, and I decide to let the chips fall and take my hoodie off, and she basically rules me out of her life, just like that. It was kind of like I'm back being 17, 18, 19 years old, where people are stereotyping me.
I'm standing on the platform, and she loudly says to this granddaughter, look at that lady with the tattoos. So I got on the subway, and doesn't she follow me and sit beside me and lectures me on why I should not have tattoos. And she got off with her grandchild, and the young woman that was sitting beside me said, I can't believe she spoke to you like that. I said, yeah, it happens all the time.
And I just figure opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one and they all stink. So it's like, you just ignore them and travel on with life. It's a fun part of getting old.
Actually, I don't have a tattoo. I've always wanted one, and never had enough nerve to do it. And I remember I was telling my husband, he said, what do you want to get a tattoo for? That's a silly thing. You don't want to do that. And I said, yes, I do. And one of these days, I just might, you know, and here I am.
If you've got a buddy who's a tattoo artist and he's saying to you, hey, are you sure you want to get this? That should set off alarm bells.
My body, my tattoo. Your opinion is like, well, we all know what I think about opinions.
Let the pain begin. And I've seen things changing in the world, and women becoming more outspoken and taking on a different role, a different attitude of life.
It's me, and it's the culmination of everything I have been.
I'm at the age now that I just don't care. I've never really cared what other people think, but now I really don't care.
I said, well, I wanted to get a tattoo, and I got drunk, and I got the tattoo, and that's the end of that.
This is literally skin deep, and I am who I am, and if you don't like it, too bad.
Yeah, I'll just be an old, wrinkled, tattooed lady. I mean, you'll still be able to know it's me.
I think I'm a butterfly at this stage of my life now, for sure, because I live like I sit in a cocoon. And I think I'm beautiful now. I like who I am. I'm happy. I remember one song that I heard, and I'm going to sing it for you if you don't mind. Just the chorus, okay? Que sera, sera, whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. Que sera, sera. Que sera, sera. That's what it is. Our future's not ours to see, but we have to live it.
Y será. When I was just